Assalamu alaikum and welcome here to E11. This is E11. I don't know which part of E11. E11/2 says it on someone's plaque that has the address on there. A private gated community. That's the sewage system. Sorry for showing you guys that. But yeah, it's a nice mixed community here. I'm going to be praying Jummah at this masjid. It is Friday today. And we have our fortnightly meetup, Hijra Expat Dual National Meetup. So inshallah, see you guys there.
That way I get to stay registered.
The one on the way to Murray, Barakow. That's a good model.
Yeah, and then June, July, August, when kids have so here, you can on Fridays anyway. And even when we go out, like the other day we went out, we went to the Murray, went to the cable car chilling, went to Tender Park, ate out, and we had got everything. And
Himself.
So mashallah, we've got a wicked turnout. We've eaten our food. Brother Wajahad, how was your lasagna, man?
Yeah, it's quite nice.
I
enjoyed it. But obviously it didn't taste like back home lasagna, but
yeah,
it was not bad.
Look at that,
It was quite, the lasagna was quite creamy at the top, man. I don't know, it was
a bit too creamy.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
What are you feeling for dessert? They don't have the Victoria sponge again.
Why is that though, man? That's how about the San Sebastian cheesecake?
Is that what you want?
No, I don't want it. I'm just looking.
Apple temptation, like what is it tempting us to do? Apple temptation.
MashaAllah, they've
मैं
got
क्या recommend करती हूँ?
organic honey.
The donuts are good here. Have you tried them?
Sir, sandwich has Lapaldi.
Puri jam. They've got the chocolate donut, vanilla donut, caramel
I'll
donut.
have to go off camera to have a good look.
What do you have to zoom in?
I need to come on and look into it, man.
Look into it. I'll record you looking into it.
No, don't record me.
This is Rajah looking at it.
Almond croissant जो है वो बहुत अच्छा
What है almond croissant?
है।
I don't know, man. It doesn't look appetizing. ठीक है, हम देख लेंगे मेन्यू पर क्या हो रहा है. Thank you. Crème brûlée भी है.
How's that lemon
Lemon what? Lemon meringue tart. I don't know. You want to try that? That's a bit crunchy at the top, you know, with the meringue. Okay guys, we've had an awesome meetup. It's still taking place here in Lofology. Hopefully this will be the last meetup here at Lofology because I've had it up to here with their menu. Yeah, but this was Brother Wajahad's recommendation. Okay, Brother Wajahad.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I think we're done here, yeah.
So, let's talk about Hijra. So we got a brother here off camera. He might want to share some things, his views about why people want to leave the UK, and he's allowed to say as he wishes what he wants. So brother, please just chuck in whatever you want. Ameen Wajahad will jump in as well.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. So with me, I understand that everyone's family situation is different and people may not want to do an all or nothing approach to when it comes to hijrah. So my background is that I want to be able to spend some time in the UK because of the situation with my family. They can't all come because of personal reasons, but I also want to be able to spend an increasing amount of time in Pakistan as the years go by. For me, I have always loved staying in Islamabad. I've been coming here roughly every 12 to 18 months over the last 20 years or so. I'm of the generation that when we were young, our parents sent us to live in Pakistan, so I can speak and read and write Urdu very comfortably. And I think that the challenges that exist for people who have families in the West are increasing daily. So whether it comes to education, whether it comes to cultural decline, whether it comes to crime and disorder, whether it's to do with the cost of living, the attractiveness that was there in the West,
in the 60s,
in the UK. in the 60s, in the 70s,
It's not
in the
no
80s.
longer there, is it?
It's no longer, it's far from it. Life is very tough, it's very difficult, and the level of independence and sovereignty that you had as a father, as a leader of a family, just doesn't exist. The state owns you, it runs you, and if you have views that are counter to it, you'll get cancelled very quickly. Your livelihood will be taken away, and I think these are things for people to ponder. And the same way that our parents' generation went from one country to another to get the best of that country, I think it's time that we also consider the same thing. We go from one country to another country to get the best from there. And you go where you're treated best. So we're here today in this cafe. It was a wonderful environment, and I would say the service that we get here in Pakistan is far better than in the UK. Okay, so if you're getting things at a fraction of the price, but with 10 times the service, 10 times the care. And that's what I want. I want that for myself, for my wife, for my children, and I want to have a situation where they can take advantage of both. They can live here if they choose, they can come and go if they choose. I want there to be options for them. So I think that with everyone's situation, you may not be able to do one or the other. I know people have medical issues, they have elderly parents to take care of, but the option should always be there. And I really appreciate the work that Brother Farhan and his whole team have put in, and the information and advice that is online. I had a desire to live in Pakistan from the 90s, but my family called me crazy because they couldn't imagine someone with a British passport coming and staying in the country from which their relatives fled. But the situation has now reversed. It's now reversed.
We are fleeing the West to come to Pakistan.
And so I think whatever questions people have, they should ask them, they should join the right groups, they should come and have a visit, even stay for a couple of months.
Plenty of research for them to do here.
On rent, you have a huge community of like-minded people who will deal with you professionally. You won't have to be bothered too much with the hassles, and take the time to consider the options.
Definitely.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will bless your decision, and you will gain the support of a community over here, and I hope it works out the best for everyone.
So the brother, let's get straight into it. The brother has experience of schools and how they run. What is it that they're doing with the Islamic schools in the UK that one after another they're shutting down? The Ofsted are proper onto them, you know that?
So I think one of the things that the Muslim community in the West thought for many decades was that they could live independently and stay just under the radar. And if they had their own schools, they had their own mosques, they had their own community centers, that they wouldn't be touched or they wouldn't be interfered with.
And it was like that for
back for
in
a long
the 80s,
time.
90s,
But as the
early 2000s.
I agree. And then, but as the liberal values have become stronger and stronger and taken hold, whether it's to do with
woke society,
equality and diversity, whether it's LGBT plus culture, whether it's wokeness, that has now become stronger and stronger, and it's enforced on every community, whether it's a Muslim community, a non-Muslim community, black or white or Asian or whatever. So even if you have a Muslim ethos school, if you have a religious place of worship, when it comes to employment law, it's common. When it comes to how you deal with diversity, there's a common law. You can't now separate yourself from society. And that's the source of all the challenges. And many times you find people who even though they've gone through an Islamic schooling system, and I've had a lot of experience with that with my own children as well, there are still great flaws in personality, because you have to study a national curriculum. And the national curriculum, whether it's English or social studies, citizenship studies, the sciences, history, geography, it will embed the values of that society in that curriculum.
Which is a
and so your children will imbibe that, and they will have a sense of confusion, because if your gender isn't fixed,
Yeah.
and you're able to choose that
Yeah.
in your childhood, if you're able to take life-changing drugs in
Yeah.
your childhood, if you're able to make decisions that we
Yeah.
don't even consider until you're an adult,
Yeah.
when you're a child,
Yes.
then that, I think that's something that's a real important point of concern.
Very well said.
Have you now seen in the Muslim society, especially children, have you come across Muslim children who are now questioning their gender or
How they fit in society.
yeah? Is that something that you witnessed yourself?
It's like they
think
start
that-
saying they're British. They're British.
I think that as time goes on, this is increasingly happening, but it's hidden, it's concealed,
Okay.
because the child itself will really inform the parents,
Yeah.
and the school itself will certainly not, because it's not within their rights to do so. A lot of things that are to do with medical changes are done by the NHS,
Yeah.
and they certainly will not inform the parents.
Wow.
And if you take any serious steps
Yeah.
to change that,
Yeah.
then you'll find social services at your door really
Yeah.
quickly.
Not leaving you alone.
So
Yeah.
this is something that
is a
even
major
my
issue.
parents' generation used to say to us, that when you come to England, you come to the West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you've incorporated yourself in society and you're taking their benefits,
Yeah.
children belong to the state.
Yeah.
They're not your children.
Yeah.
100%.
And these were words that were spoken decades ago.
Yeah.
And it's only now, in our
Now we're seeing
generation,
it.
we're seeing the full fruits of that.
It's materializing
The
now.
full bitter fruits of that way of thinking. And now a lot of people are in a state of desperation, but they can't speak out.
It's true.
Because if you speak out, if you do it publicly, you're going to get your livelihood under threat. And that's unfortunately the
That's
case.
true. There's a brother from Denmark. He's been here for the last 5 years or so. He was renewing his kid's Danish passport. They pulled his kids to a side and they said to him, "Is your father forcing you to stay here in Pakistan?" Can you imagine that?
Right. Yeah.
Just imagine one of the kids was a bit on edge,
Yeah.
maybe that week from school or whatever. He was being bullied or whatever, and he just said, "Yeah." He would have lost a child, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You get it? I know the UK don't do that, but that's a bit shocking when I heard that. Also, with the UK, people are saying that it's not as safe anymore. What's going on?
So part and parcel of the cultural change is the view that people who are criminals aren't responsible for their actions and they're victims. Oh, they had a bad childhood. Oh, they didn't have a good upbringing. They're in poverty. So that means that if someone steals the catalytic converter out of your car, it's not really their fault. We can go light on them. If someone does shoplifting, if it's under a couple of £100, we're never going to prosecute them.
Yeah.
If there's a mugging, that's almost part of the repertoire now. That's like almost like a daily occurrence. You're going to get mugged, just deal with it. And so that enforcement of civility and of a safe environment that has aman, that has peace and security, that's on a rapid decline, on a very rapid decline. And you see that whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in the US. In the US, I think they have a rule in Canada where if you shoplift under $1,000, you don't get prosecuted.
Wow.
So on YouTube, you can watch videos of young people just going into a shop, just grabbing as much as they can and walking out, and the security guards don't stop it. I've seen shoplifting thefts multiple times. And the security guards don't do anything, because if they do, they are under prosecution. They get prosecuted for assault. So this is the kind of nonsense that's going on. And the reality is that the political class, they have armed men with guns to protect them. They are safe. They don't live in the common areas. They don't go through the common areas. They live in a bubble, a protected bubble. Just like in the third world, the elite classes live in protected bubbles. So they don't get to experience the crime and the disruption and the disorder. And that's one of the unfortunate things.
What's your main takeaway from the UK? What you think would push you out of that country for definite? That's it. That one thing.
Well, for me, I think that I'm fortunate enough that I have a support structure that allowed us to have alternatives when it came to our children. But if ever I thought that they were under threat in terms of their iman or in terms of their the responsibility that we have over them as parents, then I would immediately look to leave. Because if you lose the next generation, you've lost everything. We live to pass on a legacy of our faith and of our values to the next generation. And if the next generation is gone, our life would have been a total waste.
Exactly. Jazakallah to the brother for giving his input. Should we grab the next brother?
Yeah, sure.
Let's grab the next one now. Yeah, so brother Wajah, that was really interesting. MashaAllah, the brother was so well spoken, mentioned a lot of things.
One of the best interviews I've heard on your channel.
Don't be bigging him up too much. We've got another brother
We've
just
got another good challenger.
You're putting him on edge his first time. So, do you want to ask him the questions?
No, you go for it.
Shall I go for it? Brother, what do you want to say about the UK? Why did you leave?
So lots of reasons. Overall, obviously, the UK is, I think it's going downhill. The Great Britain it used to be, 40, 50 years ago.
Not so great.
It's not so great now. The cost of housing has gone through the roof. The traffic is bad. The weather was always bad. The NHS health services, it takes 2 weeks to get a GP appointment. And that's if you win that lottery, or ring at 8 o'clock on the dot. And if you get through, and you win that,
then you can get your appointment for that
the GP
for that day.
Otherwise, you get through, they say, no, sorry, your appointments are all gone. You wait 2 weeks, and then if you manage to see a GP, let's say you got 2 problems, you can only deal with 1 problem. Then you got to play the lottery again to get your second appointment to deal with your second problem. And then if the doctor sends you for a blood test, you got to make another appointment and travel like miles to get the blood test done. Then another appointment with the GP to get the results. You're looking at weeks. And same with X-rays and ultrasounds. You get referred, you're waiting like 6 weeks. You get referred to physio, you're waiting like 6 months.
What do you think that's happened? You're going, Take it, darling. Thanks for coming down.
Take care. Alright. You're the brother from lovely brother.
We're keeping this in there. Thank you for coming down. You won't let me say his name. See you, brother Sandra.
See you, mate.
Alright. Ta-ra.
Master Chef.
Back in the kitchen, are you?
Back in the kitchen,
Back in kitchen. Bake them breads.
So the reason it's happened, I'll tell you a couple of reasons. So number one, influx of immigrants, right?
Like me.
Obviously. So a
my
lot of people.
Granddad.
No, when our granddads came, the system was sustainable. But now, when the new lot are coming, whether it's from Europe, the subcontinent, Africa, anywhere,
kick them out.
The system is not sustainable. It hasn't been funded in the last 10-15 years. The Tories have underfunded the NHS. The resources have not kept up with the population. 10-15 years ago, I remember when I was sick, Mum would ring the GP would come home and see us, right? Now, you'd be lucky if you can get an appointment in surgery. So resources haven't kept up. That's the first thing.
They don't have any new money now to catch up.
No. I mean, they've got money for all the other nonsense.
For the wars
and everything else. They've got money for all that stuff, but not for health and education.
Makes sense.
And the second reason being that because the working circumstances have gone downhill in the UK, doctors like myself have left the UK to find better jobs in Canada, in the Middle East, Qatar, Saudi, Australia, New Zealand. So doctors have gone out there where they can work less and earn more money. And the most shocking statistic is that there's 52% of doctors in the NHS right now are foreign doctors. That's the majority doctors. Now, majority should be homegrown. You'd expect maybe 10%, 15% to be foreign. 52% now are foreign. So they're importing doctors from Europe, sometimes non-English speaking countries. So the quality of healthcare has gone down. Appointments are difficult to get. So from my point of view, I mean, obviously, if you want good healthcare, you've got to leave the UK or you've got to go private, and people cannot afford to do that with the cost of living crisis right now.
Everyone I've spoken to has complained about the NHS.
And that's a basic right to be healthcare and education. These are the two basic things.
You pay your taxes, you work so hard paying your taxes.
You get taxed heavily in the
your
UK.
Your national insurance and everything.
Everything is taxed. You're taxed when you buy stuff, you're taxed when you sell stuff, you're taxed on your income, you're taxed on stuff you buy from your income that you've already been taxed on. So there's taxes everywhere. Inheritance tax. Everyone's getting taxed left, right, and centre, and yet you can't get basic health care. And even developing countries like Pakistan, you can see a doctor, you can see a specialist the same day. You can go to places like Shifa International where you've got international quality healthcare and medicine. I mean, you might have to pay £5 or £10, but you're getting access immediately. There are actually people from the NHS, my patients, that told me they came to Pakistan, had their treatment done, and then went back, and that cost less and it was quicker than waiting on the NHS and suffering for 6 months or 2 years. And the NHS waiting list after COVID, record high. I think that was statistically, don't quote me on this, but I think it was 2 million people are on the waiting list in the NHS.
2 million.
That's ridiculous.
And these 2 million are what? Severely
just waiting for stuff, waiting for ops and waiting, suffering with hip pain, waiting for operations. And
so these are not people with the flu,
not life-threatening, but waiting
but in chronic pain.
In chronic pain.
In chronic pain. Who need to be seen urgently, operated.
And this is the UK.
And I've had that in my family members as well.
And this is a developed top 5 GDP country in the world.
It doesn't sound like it anymore,
but definitely does not sound like it. And that's just healthcare. Obviously, I'm speaking about healthcare because obviously I'm familiar with that profession. It's my sector.
That's how it should be.
That's how it should
Talk
be.
about what
we need to know what your experience
approach each, like the brother from before.
He knew about education
and he went for it in the education.
I've got friends now, they would rather, like basically they would send photos or discuss their family issues with me directly.
Wow.
Rather than going to the doctor, because they're like, by the time we get doctor's appointments, no point. So they will discuss everything with me and I'll guide them. And if they don't do see doctor, or there's some self-management they can do in the meantime, they will do that instead.
And that's quite a dangerous path, because people might be self-diagnosing and looking for medication online.
Because
they go to the NHS website, looked at all the symptoms, that's me.
That's right, and they might be just self-medicating, self-diagnosing, and that's another dangerous path. That's another.
So health, I think, health is the priority. You not say health is wealth.
Health is wealth,
right? Health should always be your priority. Your health, your family's health. So if healthcare is poor, is that really worth a country worth living in, or is that the dream you want to go live in the UK, where healthcare is ridiculously poor?
When did you leave the UK?
About 12 years ago. So I left the UK 12 years ago, and it's gone worse now. I mean, it was bad already. I mean, it was bad when I left. It's gone even worse now. Now, actually, one of the most dangerous things they've done now is they've employed non-doctors
to do
doctors. You can call them pretend doctors. So they've got pharmacists and nurses that do 6-month diplomas. Now weigh that up against someone who's gone to med school for 5 years, and 2 years of foundation year training, 3 years of GP training. So they're 10 years of training. They're getting nurses and pharmacists to do a 6-month diploma, and they can now sit there and the public are tricked because patients will not realize. They walk into the room, they see a man, they think he's a GP. Sometimes with the female GPs, certain cultures might question, they assume, is this a nurse because of the female GP? Some cultures still do that. But they'll see a male nurse or a male, they call them health practitioners or allied health practitioners.
Yes, they do use that word quite a lot.
Oh no.
So recently, there was a patient that.
So that's not a GP. That's just a nurse that's been trained up in a 6-month course.
It's just they've been kind of.
And we call them doctors.
Assume exactly. They assume they're doctors. So there was a patient that came in and he said, I came in with an issue that had been going on for 6 months. Incorrectly diagnosed. So came to see me and says, I've seen the doctor twice about this problem,
and it wasn't
but it's not better. So I looked through his notes, and I see Mr. And I go back and I said to the patient, you haven't actually seen a doctor for 3 years. And he said, no, I was definitely here twice in the last 6 months. So these kind of cases will happen. They're inevitable.
What role do you think NHS is playing with the recent children want to change their gender and stuff? Are they issuing medication? How are they getting consent from the parents?
Yes, so that's a big issue as well in the West at the moment, where kids as young as 5, where 5-year-old kid What does a 5-year-old kid know? I mean, what other rights are you going to give a 5-year-old kid? Nothing. Nothing. You're not even let a 5-year-old choose his
Try teaching a 5-year-old maths and English and you find out.
Yeah, if a 5-year-old walks in and says, you know, I feel like I'm a boy or a girl or blah blah blah, you know, that nonsense, because they see on TV, or they see in society, so it plays with their mind, just like a 5-year-old could say, you know, I want to be Superman, you know, do you let him jump out the window and say,
exactly,
we'll let him jump out because he thinks he's Superman.
That's right,
You don't do that. So with these children that have these ideas, they might be temporary, they might be fleeting ideas that will settle down eventually when the kid grows up. But the way the system is, if a child comes in displaying these ideas, and surprisingly some of the parents are actually supportive of this, as GPs we have to refer them to these gender dysphoria clinics. And then
where they probably
then it's just a where
there's probably more indoctrination happening.
Indoctrination, and they're being encouraged, because you can't, for example, talk sense into them because you can't label that as nonsense, right? So you can't say, child, you know, wake up, you know, you can't do this. You can't. You've got to go along with it. And if the child's thoughts are pretty firm, you know, you've got to go with it. And it's a very dangerous, slippery slope where you refer. Then once you refer, the psychologists, they go on meds. They're having ops, you know, it's a dangerous.
It's creating more mental health issues.
The child's brain's not even fully
developed yet.
So that's becoming a huge issue. And with I mean, again, the stats are proof. You know, stats don't lie. There was Gen Z, now there's Gen Alpha. So this new generation, I think 33%. Again, I'm not sure the exact figures, but it was something ridiculous.
Gender questions.
Have some gender dysphoria issues coming up, and that is 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 children now coming up with these issues.
Between gender Z and gender alpha, there's a dramatic rise in gender, questioning their own gender.
Your kids have recently started a new school.
Yes.
Should we get the voice of your son? Ask him what the school was like. What's your school like? He's getting a bit shy. How's your school?
I find it's quite good.
It's good, quite good or really good?
Yeah, really good.
Really good. See that? He likes the school.
Yeah.
Made any friends?
Yeah.
Where are they from?
I have a friend, he's from East London, same as me.
Oh wow, so you have other British children?
Ilford,
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have a friend, and then I have 2 other friends. They're from Pakistan, but still like really nice kids. So we kind of have like a little going.
Nice. You get along with them, that's the main thing.
Yeah, get along.
You must have families from Canada, Australia, other children from other countries as well.
Yeah, in this school I found, especially in like some of the other classes, there's a lot of kids from America. America. I found 1 kid from Canada, but like, the majority is America and UK, and then obviously you've got your own Pakistanis.
Nice.
Apparently there's a school in Barrier-town, Phase 8, I can't remember the name, but on the records it shows 300 children just from the UK alone.
Wow.
300. And generally Phase 8 Barrier does have a lot of British expats.
Yeah.
So that's, you can see that, I mean, you know.
So just because I can't get around everyone, I've always known that there's thousands of us out here, but you just can't meet them.
That's right,
You just can't meet them. They never see the vlogs, it never comes up on their feed. There's a brother who lived 20 minutes away from me.
Oh wow.
He was in Pakistan for 4 years before me. And I said, when you go to YouTube, did a video ever come up about walking to Hassan Abdal and this? He goes, no. Because how did you find out? Because my cousin in the UK sent me. So there's that many people here. That
I think it's the people in the UK who are typing, you know, leaving the UK.
They're the ones that see
and one, you know, living in Pakistan. So it comes under their algorithm.
And not the people that are living here. We see Brits all the time.
Yeah.
All the time they're here.
That's right,
And like, we feel like we're the only ones, but we're actually not. There's like,
I think the next 20 years there's going to be a big exodus from the UK. I see that happening. UK and Europe. Europe's becoming right-wing very quickly anyway.
And it was from the start, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I see in the next 20 years
the UK copying
thousands of families.
How many people are voting reform?
That's right,
Reform is
even Christian families are looking to leave the UK because the values, the current values, do not subscribe to their religion. So even Christian families are looking to relocate to other countries.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.